the connection of healthy souls and a healthy plant to healthy people. So what we're seeing when we want to transform and restore landscape, we need to transform our food system and help farmers to start growing good food for the soul, but as well good food for people. So that's a little bit about me, and what we're going to talk about a little bit today is around how can we transform our food system, but then through social enterprise. So that's the idea today, is to have a conversation with all of us to become more aware of what kind of social enterprises are around us, what is happening, how can we define them.
And what we're trying to do, which is really to do these kinds of things, bring people together from diverse positions across the food system in support of a shared vision and agenda for a better food system for whole of Australia, and in this case particularly Perth and Western Australia. So this is food hubs, community food hubs. Has anyone heard about food hubs? Quick show of hands, a few of you have. A sector worth 500 million now in the United States, about 400 different types of food hubs. They are multi-dimensional, strategically designed interventions to address wicked problems in the food system, particularly the issue of lack of viability for producers. The catchphrase for a food hub is really about getting greater market access for small to medium-sized producers, and that's our role as Sustain. We see this as really the start of what we hope will be a whole sector across the country. We're very interested in talking to people in Western Australia and elsewhere about bringing these kinds of enterprises into being. So that's what I'll talk about in a little bit more detail.
We have 5 employees currently, 4 of which have a long-term unemployment history, 1 has an underemployment history, and we've created 19 new work opportunities for long-term unemployed, underemployed and unemployed people since 2013. And we currently have two farm sites, one behind the art gallery, one in East Perth. We look after the horticulture project in the historic heart of Perth, and we look after the Bottle Yard Apartments, horticulture and decorative plants. Our social mission is to help alleviate poverty by growing jobs for long-term unemployed people, and we're doing this through trading and through services. So we provide work with adult services, and also we sell produce.
What's your 2 minutes? Teach, put on your presentation.
So we're here today to talk about transforming the food system, and my big question is who's going to do it? The average age of farmers in this country is 60, compared to most industries it's about 35 to 39. So agriculture is a sector that has a workforce crisis. Basically, it ranges everything across the board from fruit falling on the ground because there's not enough people to harvest it, right up to graduate level jobs. It's basically a crisis point across the board. So if we're going to embark on this big challenge of feeding the world and regenerating the earth at the same time, we really need to rethink about pathways and how to get more young people, more talented people into agriculture. So we started to think about this from a full system, like how does it work currently? And at the moment you basically have like large formal education institutions, or you have people going out and kind of finding and creating their own paths. We want to work in and around all of that. And basically we think that pathway is essentially moving towards more of a choose your own adventure model of learning, whereby you're engaged in multiple institutions, multiple workplaces, you're learning through your entire life. And effectively we want to make it easy for people to plug in at any point along this journey and then pop out at any point along this journey. Whether your goal is to buy and own a farm one day or just get a job. Kind of starting off with farm tours, workshops, courses down that end, moving right up to formal education and jobs. So how to do this? Our first step is to create the Farm Folk Learning Portal, which will go live in about 2 weeks' time. And basically we are capturing all of the farm tours, workshops, courses, internships, incubated programs, volunteering opportunities on farms all over the country. We have a bent towards regenerative agriculture. We're not exclusively for that, but that's what 90% of the stuff coming through at the moment tends to be about. Basically, it'll be a place you can go, you can find it wherever it is in the country. You can sign up, you can buy tickets, you can attend workshops. Ratings and reviews, so you know if it's any good and they know if you're any good. Next. And then the long-term goal is for that to move towards employment pathways. So effectively that you would create a profile. So say, oh, I've been to a couple of courses, I've done this, I've done that. You build up ratings and reviews and essentially an online CV, and then eventually we'll offer a service where we match you to employment, jobs, contracting, anything like that.
Thank you. Well, I agree, it's all about people. We're part of the problem and we're certainly part of the solution. I've been involved as a regenerative farmer probably for about the last 12, 14 years now, and seen big changes on my farm. But when I talk about regeneration, it really does start with the people, and we need to get more people out there, so we have to create an innovative system to make that happen. So in my local town, I started a repopulation initiative. We've been able to grow the population by about 15%, but we do need to create industry. The regional areas of West Australia are in pretty dire respects with people, and obviously some of the damage that we've done to the landscape is really, really bad. And we need to try and fix that up. So in fact, I suspect that the population of most of Western Australia is less now than before Europeans settled the country.
I'm the co-founder of Migrant. It's a business that's beside the Royal Gym up in Subiaco. It started in a shed in South Fremantle with a purpose extraordinarily felt it about helping good causes and companies gain a greater share of the future. So that's our relationship with that. How it does that is about liberating authentic human motive for commercial gain. So an example of that would be we've helped Synergy go from keeping the lights on to leading Western Australians to their intelligent energy future. That is very motivating for young people who want to go work for a futuristic, innovative company. So it is about motivating people from the inside out. And I was describing this on a train in England to a French guy, and he said, what are you doing trying to fix climate change with renewables? You need to get into agriculture. Have you heard of photosynthesis, Ronnie? I was trying to do it with technology. I was looking at scrapers, or taking it out of the air. He said, go and learn that soil. So I really want to help companies that are in this space, and it starts with your people and their purpose. I've done it for 10 years, and I know how to help companies in that space.
I'm the Director of Community Food Events, and we're essentially an events management enterprise that's partnered with a not-for-profit called Sustainable Australia Food Network. We're an aspiring social enterprise. We currently receive around 70% of our income through grants and around 30% through ticket sales to events. 100% of our profits are currently invested back into our events. And at the heart of our mission and events is the community's vision in the Great Southern for their food system. So in 2035, the Great Southern has a food system that recognises and values Indigenous cultural knowledge and practices. The Great Southern food system supports vibrant, healthy, connected and 100% food secure communities. The Great Southern region is a region where it's normal for everyone to buy local food branded as from the region for the region, and food is grown locally rather than imported and is available to consumers in a range of local and diverse markets and outlets, including a Great Southern food hub. So food is produced in a manner that supports replenished ecology and is sustained by secure water catchments. It's a food system that enjoys mutually beneficial relationships with adjacent food producing regions, and it is innovative and supported by appropriate scale regulation. It nourishes a sharing and diverse economy and is supported by a range of coordinated government agencies and other food system stakeholders. So all of our events are designed to support that vision. And our flagship community event is the Food for Thought Festival. So the purpose of that festival, this is a picture from our long table dinner last year, with all of the amazing people, lots of the amazing people from the Great Southern food system there. So it's to celebrate and showcase the local food economy in an educational and fun way, and to explore possibilities for the future, all while increasing community awareness about food security at a regional and individual level, the impact of food systems on individual and community health, soil health, from commercial to urban production, and the impact of well-grown food on nutritional content.
Thing of having a huge property and a mortgage that the only way to obtain it is a mortgage, and the only potential way to get involved might be to have a personal relationship with the owner for 10 years, and at the end of learning to use that property and grow on it, that you get.
So that's what we're endeavouring to do at Wide Open Agriculture. So we already have some startings of that type of process where we're marrying high net worth people that might want to invest in regenerative agriculture with regenerative farmers to find pathways where we can find and create models that may be tailored quite specifically to enable that type of thing. And one of the biggest problems out there in the agriculture community is the mortgage, the debt. You know, like the days of the farmer, and it did happen at the expense of natural capital in the soil, where we were quite wealthy, and even I'm a fourth generation farmer. So, you know, when chemical farming first came along, it got very good at taking the last bit of goodness, natural capital out of the soil that was there to basically destroy it, and that happened quite fast, so there was some good money made. But since then it's all technology that's going back out of the farming community to machinery dealers, to herbicides, to fungicides, to pesticides, GMOs, all those type of things that are really feeding the system. So it's a greedy corporate system that's taken over the farm, and we're told that there's no other way. It's not true.
Here to also connect to the local community as well, and inspire and empower the younger generation.
Especially, we're always told to look at food as more of like, you know, how to stay slim or whatever. That's like the dominant conversation around food, and I think we have really, as young people, overall lost that connection to what food is actually about, which is to nourish us, and just how amazing food actually is. And I think also once you kind of start down that journey, you start to see how food is produced and how we have just lost touch, and like we were mentioning, the pesticides and things that we just don't broadly know about. I think if we were more educated and there was just more transparency around how food is created and kids actually understood how it's grown, all the people that touch that food that then gets to we would probably be making more mindful choices.
That works with food processors, with producers, and with big institutions to actually influence their contracts, their purchasing and procurement standards, to put ethical standards in there and say we're going to source produce that's sustainably grown, that's transparently priced, and gives a fair return to producers, and creates jobs for local people, and move volumes of it with longer term contracts. And they've been quite successful. So they're trying to do that now in New South Wales in partnership with Charles Sturt University, with the hospital sector in the central west of New South Wales, and with some quite big producers in that region, which I think is a pretty exciting development. So our project in Melbourne, that's where we'd like to get to, I guess. We're working, as I said, with the farmers market. So that's a great, in terms of thinking about how this all works. You know, obviously supply is critical, so working in partnership with the farmers market is a great advantage because they've got a network of 300 producers from in and around Melbourne, so the supply equation and the logistics are kind of sorted, which is one of the big challenges, because you've got the farmers coming in every week bringing all their produce, and once we get to a stage of enough funding to get some cool room storage and infrastructure, the farmers who actually want to work with us to do this sales and marketing and branding work will have somewhere to leave their produce, and we have staff employed to actually do that business development and develop those contracts and supply channels. And then also we'll have a commercial kitchen, as I said, which is its own kind of cost centre in this business model. I think can be supporting particularly migrant women. There's a not-for-profits in Melbourne that work specifically with women from a number of countries in East Africa who've been coming to Australia in recent years, who want to be developing their own businesses and producing and developing their recipes and selling them into local shops and at the farmers market. So the kitchen will be that kind of business incubator.
If you want to have sustainable, healthy populations, you are going to have healthy soils. And the primary measure of healthy soils is organic matter content. It's not photosynthesis. That's further down the track one. Organic matter in the soils. And if you can produce a crop and increase the organic matter in your soils, you're doing something real. And again, I come back to the urban areas, because in the urban areas, or peri-urban or near to urban centres, we have these huge costly issues. Costly means money that can be made by food enterprises because society is already spending money. Urban waste, food waste and green waste. That's where you get organic matter from. That's how you create. My soils, where I'm urban farming at the moment, were sand. They've got chocolate brown colour to this depth, and I've spent no money on it other than paying the water bill.
Very good at repairing itself, and we can we talk I think a lot about how broken the system is, how the wheat belt stuff, all this stuff. But really, if we can get carbon back into the soils and get that methodology out there, we can genuinely make a massive difference in the next couple of
Soil and the soil, but until we start realising that we actually have to start putting carbon back in our soils, and then everything else will look after itself. It's as simple as that. Just to wrap up, and I told this to my consultant. He's not my consultant anymore, obviously. But about 12 years ago, I said, we've got to build up organic carbon in my soils. He said, it's too expensive. He said, we just keep buying nitrogen, and then if it becomes profitable, we'll do it. And I just said,
well, that's why an accountant should ask, how's your soil, rather than how old's a tractor. Yeah. Let's work out your asset. Why they find it like, and what's the depreciation on your tractor?
Farmers have become very lazy because it's really easy to get to the plastic container that's got the pesticide, the fungicide, the fertiliser in there, but that process doesn't get the functionality going in the soil. It purifies our water, builds real nutrition, real density in our foods.
And that's the difference between agriculture and agribusiness. Agribusiness has nearly destroyed this country.
It has, consultants have, because they've looked at a business and said, you're not making as much as your neighbour, but that might not have been a bad thing, because you might have been actually building soil. So nature always provides. I've got an old guy who works for me, he said, nature always provides. So nature was designed to feed us, but be giving back and building new soil all the time. And that's what we've got to get back to realising, that it's not about maximum extraction of a commodity, it's about taking a little bit out to sustain us and then putting back into the
One more minute.
Liz?
I suppose like everything that I'm hearing, including all of the mechanisms to actually do that, all of the economic drivers to do that exist now, so it can be done.
Ronnie and I is that we're really deep listening to what's going on in the community. So there was about an 18-month process of listening to community members and doing some community engagement around this food hunt, and that's where the vision for the Food for Thought Festival really came from, is listening to our community members and other stakeholders talk about what their vision was for the food system. And then that's
outside New York called Essex Farm. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they are a full diet community supported agriculture model. So basically what happens is you sign up for a year. It costs I think about $4,500 to $5,000, and you can have all you can eat food from their farm. They produce meat, vegetables, fruit, honey, basically grains. They mill it into flour. They basically do all of this stuff, and you basically go out every week and can fill your box of what you want. Obviously, within reason, you can't take the system, take everything. But they basically worked out, so for them as farmers, they've worked out, basically reverse engineered it and go we need this much money to survive, this much money to put our kids through school, this much money to pay our bills, these are our input costs. All right, community, it's $1 million. We need, how many members can we feed? All right, cool. So it needs to be $4,500 each, and this is the budget. And then everyone buys in, and then they're away. So now they're not growing to sell. It's a system.
Yeah, there's a really good one in India. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I like that model where you sort of, adopt the farmer, but you can actually control what's growing as well. So it's slight difference. But again, you know, like, you know, I've done a lot of work trying to get refugees into the regional areas and they work, and a lot of them come from rural communities and we just plonk them in the city and they get lost. So another way where we can get them out there and on a contract system start getting them involved in agriculture, where we support, you know, a bit like we send money to Africa to get kids educated, we can actually do the same thing to support them to actually grow the food. And if, you know, we can mentor them with us with the skills to do that, then we start creating this new diversity that's required. So I think we're just about ready to...
There was a constant thread in there about young people getting into agriculture, which is great, and it is. But one of the things that kept coming up time and time again was if we want more young people in agriculture, it's not just about getting more people farming, because farming is changing. It's more about lots of different enterprises and lots of different agri-businesses happening in regional Australia. So it's more about agri-entrepreneurs than necessarily just farmers. What else? The big wheels of finance are changing and moving more towards valuing natural capital and putting a dollar value on the soil, which is happening, which is exciting. The thing that broke this thing might fix the thing, maybe. What else? What else, Stuart? What else we got?
I think you've done pretty good. I think people are the problem, so people are the solution. The carbon thing was something I was going to mention. I think working together is paramount, because I think that I think none of us will totally have the solution, but the more we work together and more diversity in ideas and coming together and growing as a movement is really important. And I think sometimes, and I can speak from experience here because I've been, and I'm sure a lot of us have been doing this for a long time, you can really beat yourself up trying to actually get people to change and expend a lot of energy trying to do that. I say, let's just work with the people that want to change, because around those people that want to change, there'll be people just looking on from the side, and then they'll just come along really, really easily, because humans are a lot like sheep, using a farming analogy. I don't want to be the first one out the gate, but by shit, if it looks good, we're all on our way. That's it.